All right, guys, we are unwrapping 207mm pulley from 034, as well as replacing every spark plug with a Brisk Racing spark plug. These are the ones that are recommended by 034 because they handle heat, a lot hotter heat, because now that we're going with more airflow, it is going to get a lot hotter. So these are the ones that we went with. Where is it at? The DR10S Silver Racing Brisk ones. These are recommended by 034, and these are the ones that I will be using. All right, guys, so we have the front bumper off, and we took out the bolts of this crash bar right here. So we're going to pull this out. We're going to drill the holes in the back so we can mount our heat exchanger bracket. We're going to, get a Sharpie, align it, make sure the measurements are right, drill into it, hook this up to the heat exchanger. We got the old school heat exchanger for Merc Racing. It's one of their older models. I got it from somebody on Facebook Marketplace, but they do not sell this one anymore. This one went for about $300 brand new. We got it for a very, very cheap price. You can still see it right there. I haven't unwrapped it yet, but this is going to be getting installed down there. It is a very tight fit, so I believe they call it service mode. We're going to have to pull this off just a little bit so we can get to the back there. I don't think it's possible to get to it from the bottom, but we're going to figure it out. Me and my buddy, he's an Audi mech, so we'll figure that out. Taking off the subframe, we took out these 6 bolts, these 2. And we're taking off this and the one on that side. Same thing on both sides, and this whole thing's gonna come out, lean on there, and then we're gonna go ahead and get to the crank. All right, so we use this tensioner right here to pull off counterclockwise, pull off the supercharger pulley. Then we took a wrench, 5/16 wrench, right? 5/16.
Yeah, we did 5/16.
5/16 on this one, clockwise as well.
No, it was 5/8.
Yeah, 5/8 wrench clockwise on this one to pull out the whole pulley. Now we're going to loosen up this to get the actual pulley in there so we don't damage it. So we just slid the pulley out, but we're going to loosen up this bracket, and we're going to slide the pulley back in this way. But before we do, or the belt, I'm sorry, but before we do any of that, we're going to go ahead and remove this crank pulley. Remove it, grind off the nut, install, and then we'll do the belt. All right, I have officially got all the bolts out, and as you can see, we got to just remember that white line's at. That's important because that's where we're going to be lining it up, and then we're just going to go ahead and pull out the pulley, get ready to install the new pulley, which is sitting in there. Now, one thing to keep in mind, these bolts from 034 are Allen key heads. That's the Allen key head. It's a 1/4-inch Allen key head. It is so much better than the triple squares that we have to use for the OEM. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that out. We're gonna put the blue Loctite, or red, I apologize. Let me go double check that. 034 actually sent me the pulley and the Loctite. It's blue thread locker. Make sure you use the blue one. You don't wanna use red on there in case anything happens and then you can't get anything out. Process, cutting that nub off. So as you can see, there's no line, but there's an X on the back. That's where you're going to be aligning it to where that white line was before, so that way all of them can line up correctly. All right, now we just got to torque it. We put 24 inch-pounds because my shit's not calibrated, but per the 034, it's 22 foot-pounds or 30 newton meters. The crank pulley is now mounted, and now we are just sliding the belts back through here and routing it. Same with the supercharger pulley. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and just bolt everything back up, push it all back in, and then comes the heat exchanger. Once the heat exchanger is done, all we got left is an oil change, spark plugs, and the baby is good to go. All right, now we got our belts on. That nice big pulley right there. We're gonna put this whole back together and do the heat exchanger. Hip hip. Quick update, we got the heat exchanger in. We drilled into the crash bar and just tightly threaded on those bolts. So we drilled it just slightly smaller than the bolts. And we're finishing up putting the crash bar on. Then we should be going to connect everything up, fill it up, and then throw the bumper on. All right, we just finished installing it. We bled it out for the most part. We got to re-bleed it again, but we're going to take it out for a drive to re-bleed it. And yeah, I'll let you know how these things drives tomorrow. All right, as we're bleeding this, doing a quick oil change, and we're going to swap the spark plugs, and then we're going to continue. All right, time to start the tuning process. We got everything hooked up. It's not all back together, but we're just gonna tune the car before we start it. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3!